Jin woke up to the sound of rain hitting his window. His small apartment was cold. The heater had broken again, and he didn't have money to fix it. He looked at the clock. It was 5:30 a.m. Old habits from the army made him wake up early, even though he had nowhere to go. His leg hurt. It always hurt in the morning. The injury that ended his military career still reminded him of what he had lost. Jin slowly got out of bed and limped to the tiny kitchen. He made instant coffee and looked out the window at the gray Seoul skyline. Another day, another struggle, he said to the empty room. Jin had been home from the army for 8 months. Finding work was hard. No one wanted to hire a limping ex-soldier with no other skills. He had been doing small jobs, helping at a local store, walking dogs, fixing things for old people in his building. It was enough for food and rent, but not much else. He finished his coffee and got dressed. Today he was supposed to help Mr. Han move some furniture. The old man paid poorly, but Jin couldn't say no. Mr. Han had been kind to him when he first moved in. As Jin left his apartment, he noticed people running toward the park. They looked excited and scared. Jin was curious. He followed them, limping slightly as he tried to keep up. The sight at the park made him stop in his tracks. A huge silver ship sat in the middle of the green space. It was like nothing Jin had ever seen. It shone in the morning light, and strange symbols covered its smooth surface. An alien ship, someone whispered next to him. They landed 20 minutes ago. Jin had heard rumors about alien contact, but most people thought they were just government lies. Yet here was proof, sitting in his neighborhood park. Police had made a ring around the ship, keeping people back. As Jin watched, a door opened in the side of the ship. 3 tall figures walked out. They had greenish-gray skin and wore shining armor. Their heads were longer than human heads, with no hair and large, dark eyes. The aliens spoke to a police officer. Their voices were deep and formal. Jin couldn't hear what they said, but suddenly the officer turned and pointed directly at him. "Jin Kung." One of the aliens called out. Its voice was strangely clear through the crowd noise. Jin froze. How did they know his name? People turned to stare at him. The police officer waved him forward. With his heart beating fast, Jin limped through the crowd toward the aliens. They watched him come with their large, dark eyes. "Are you Jin Kung, formerly of the Republic of Korea Army, 3rd Division?" the tallest alien asked. "Yes," Jin said. His mouth was dry. "That's me." The alien bowed slightly. "I am Ambassador Crix of the Drakari Empire. We come on an important matter regarding King Vrex." Jin looked confused. "I don't know any king." "No, you would not," the alien said. "King Vrex was the ruler of our empire, spanning 57 star systems. He died 3 days ago by your Earth time." Jin didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry for your loss." The 3 aliens looked at each other. Jin thought they seemed relieved. "King Vrex left a final will," Ambassador Crix continued. "In it, he named you, Jin Kang of Earth, as the inheritor of his personal guardian creature." "Me? But why?" "There must be a mistake." "There is no mistake. Your genetic signature was specified. The king's will must be honored, or it would cause a great diplomatic incident." The second alien pressed something on his wrist. A section of the ship's floor lowered to the ground like a ramp. Something moved in the shadows inside. "We present to you Taro, the royal guardian, now yours by law and decree," the ambassador said. There was something strange in his voice. Was it fear? A creature walked down the ramp. It looked like a dragon from old Korean stories, but with scales that shifted colors in the sunlight. It was the size of a large dog, with small wings folded against its back and bright, intelligent eyes. The dragon looked at Jin. Then, to everyone's shock, it spoke in perfect Korean. "Well, well, well. So you're my new human. At least you don't look as stuck up as those royal idiots." Jin's mouth fell open. The aliens stepped back nervously. The crowd gasped. And just like that, Jin's life changed forever. A week after forming the mental link with Taro, Jin noticed changes. His leg pain was completely gone. He could run again. He felt stronger, more alert. Even his eyesight seemed better. The bond is making you stronger, Taro explained as they walked through a quiet park early in the morning. The dragon was the size of a small cat now, riding on Jin's shoulder. Your body is adapting to the energy we share. Jin smiled. I haven't felt this good since before the war. Their peaceful moment ended when Jin's phone rang. The number was unknown. Hello, Jin answered. Jin Kang. A woman's voice. This is Captain Su from the Special Forces. We need to meet. It's about your new pet. Jin looked at Taro. Through their mental link, he could feel the dragon's sudden worry. I don't know what you're talking about, Jin said. Please don't lie, Su said. We've been watching you. We know about the dragon. And we know others are coming for it. Jin was about to hang up when Taro spoke directly into his mind. Wait. Ask how she knows about the others. How do you know others are coming? Jin asked. Because we've been monitoring Drakari communications, Su said. They've sent hunters. They'll be here in 2 days. Meet me at the old train station in 1 hour if you want to live. She hung up. Jin looked at Taro. What do you think? I think we need help, Taro said. And I think the Drakari wouldn't send hunters unless they realized how dangerous our bond is to them. 1 hour later, Jin and Taro waited at the old train station. The place was mostly empty. A few homeless people slept on benches. Pigeons flew around the high ceiling. A woman in plain clothes walked toward them. She was tall with short hair and moved like a soldier. Jin recognized the walk from his army days. Captain Su, he asked when she reached them. She nodded. And this must be Taro. She looked at the dragon with clear interest. I've never seen anything like you before. And I'd never seen a human female soldier before, Taro replied. You're much more impressive than the males. Sue's eyes widened at hearing Taro speak, but she recovered quickly. We need to go. My car is outside. They followed her to a black car with dark windows. Once inside, Sue drove quickly through the city. Where are we going? Jin asked. Somewhere safe, Sue said. A government facility outside the city. Government. Jin tensed. Are you going to lock us up? Study us? Sue shook her head. No. I work for a special department that handles extraterrestrial relations. We've known about aliens for decades. What? Jin couldn't believe it. The whole world just learned about aliens when the Drakari landed in the park. That was the first public contact, Sue explained. But governments around the world have had secret contact for years. We just didn't tell people to avoid panic. Taro laughed. Humans are so funny. Always keeping secrets from each other. Sue looked at the dragon in her mirror. What can you tell us about the hunters coming for you? They're Drakari elite warriors, Taro said. They have technology that can track Ryong energy. And they'll kill anyone who gets in their way. Why are they so determined to get you back? Sue asked. Because the bond between Jin and me scares them, Taro said. Ryong can make other species stronger. But with humans, the effect is much stronger. The Drakari fear what could happen if more Ryong bond with humans. They drove for an hour before reaching a small building hidden in the mountains. It looked like an old research station. Sue parked and led them inside. To Jin's surprise, the simple building had an elevator that went deep underground. When the doors opened, they saw a large, modern facility with people working at computers. Welcome to the Extraterrestrial Relations Department, Sue said. We've been preparing for this day for a long time. A tall man walked toward them. I'm Director Da. We've been monitoring the situation since the Drakari ship landed. Jin felt overwhelmed. All this was secret. For years. We had to be careful, Da said. The galaxy is a dangerous place for new species like humans. Taro jumped down from Jin's shoulder and grew to his dog-size form. He's right, and it's about to get a lot more dangerous for you all. How many hunters are coming? Sue asked. At least 6, Taro said, and they won't stop until they have me. Director Da looked grim. Then we better prepare for a fight. 6 hours later, Jin stood in the Great Hall of the United Nations building. Taro sat beside him, scales shining bright gold. The room was filled with leaders from around the world. Cameras pointed at them from every angle. Sue stood nearby, now dressed in a formal military uniform. She gave Jin an encouraging smile. Director Day and President Parks sat at the main table. Are you nervous? Taro asked through their mental link. Yes, Jin replied silently, but also ready. The doors opened, and the Drakari delegation entered. 5 tall aliens in formal robes walked slowly to the table. Their leader wore a silver crown. The new king himself had come. King Urex, Taro whispered. Vrex's son. He always hated me. President Park stood. Welcome to Earth, Your Majesty. We are honored by your presence. King Urex did not look honored to be there. His large dark eyes scanned the room with clear disgust. Let us finish this quickly. Return our property, and we will leave your world in peace. Jin stepped forward. Taro is not property. He is a living being with rights. King Vrex gave him to me legally, following your own laws. The Drakari king's eyes narrowed. My father was old and foolish. I am correcting his mistake. By threatening Earth? Jin asked. By sending hunters to kill us. If necessary, the king said coldly. The words echoed his commander's earlier statement. Jin looked at the cameras, knowing people across Earth and beyond were watching. Your Majesty, do you know why your father really gave Taro to me? The king didn't answer. It wasn't just to get rid of an annoying pet, Jin continued. It was because he feared what Taro really is, and what humans and Raon might become together. Silence. The king shouted. Taro stepped forward. He began to grow larger, reaching the size of a horse. People gasped. No more silence, the dragon said. His voice filled the hall. For too long, the Drakari have hidden the truth about my kind. What truth is that? President Park asked. Jin placed his hand on Taro's side. Through their bond, he felt energy flow between them. A soft blue light surrounded them. The Raon were teachers and guides to many species, Jin said. The Drakari feared their power and killed most of them. They kept a few as pets to show their control. But they didn't know the full truth, Taro added. The Raon can bond with compatible species, sharing power and knowledge. Humans are more compatible than any species we've ever found. To demonstrate, Jin lifted his hand. The blue light gathered in his palm, then shot up toward the ceiling where it spread into a beautiful display of energy. The crowd gasped again, this time in wonder. King Urex stood in rage. This proves why we must take the creature back. Humans with such power would threaten the Empire. We don't want to threaten anyone, Jin said calmly. We want peace. But we will defend ourselves. Taro's eyes began to glow. Suddenly, images appeared in the air above them, memories projected for all to see. They showed the ancient Raon world, peaceful and beautiful. Then the Drakari ships arriving. The destruction. The enslavement. The galaxy should know what you did, Taro said. And what you fear. King Urex's face showed panic. Those are lies. Projections. No, came a voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to see Mr. Han, Jin's elderly neighbor, walking forward. They are truth, long hidden. To Jin's shock, Mr. Han began to change. His human form shifted, revealing scales underneath. In moments, where the old man had stood was now a dragon like Taro, but older and larger. I am not the only one. The dragon who had been Mr. Han said. We have lived on Earth for centuries, hiding among humans, waiting. More gasps filled the room. Taro's scales brightened with joy. Master Lai, I thought you were dead. King Ureks stepped back. This is impossible. No, Jin said. This is the truth you tried to hide. Earth has been home to Round for a long time. They've been waiting for humans to be ready for the bond. President Park stood tall. King Ureks, it seems we have much to discuss. Not as master and servant, but as equals. The Drakari king looked at his delegation. They were clearly afraid. This isn't over, he said, but his threat sounded hollow. Actually, Jin said, I think it's just beginning. A new chapter for both our peoples. As the king and his delegation left in defeat, Jin looked at Taro, then at the dragon who had been his neighbor. Through his bond with Taro, he felt something new, hope for the future. A future where humans and Raon would stand together as partners, ready to take their place among the stars. Humanity had found its greatest allies, and the galaxy would never be the same. Jin stood frozen as the aliens quickly returned to their ship. The crowd around him was taking pictures and videos. Police were trying to keep people back. In the middle of all this chaos, the dragon named Taro sat on the grass, looking up at Jin with bright eyes. Are you just going to stand there all day? Taro asked. His voice sounded nothing like the formal, deep tones of the aliens. He spoke like a bored teenager. I'm hungry, and it's starting to rain again. Jin looked around helplessly. What am I supposed to do with you? Take me home, obviously, Taro said. Unless you want the government to take me away for experiments. They're already on their way, by the way. I can hear their vehicles. In the distance, Jin heard sirens. Black vans were speeding toward the park. Without thinking, he nodded at Taro. Follow me, quickly. Jin turned and started limping away. To his surprise, Taro easily kept pace beside him. They slipped through the crowd as people were distracted by the departing alien ship. You're hurt, Taro said, looking at Jin's leg. War injury. It never healed right. Humans are so fragile, Taro muttered. They made it back to Jin's apartment building just as rain began falling harder. Jin looked nervously up and down the street before opening the door. No one had followed them. Jin's apartment felt even smaller with Taro in it. The dragon walked around, sniffing at everything. He jumped onto Jin's bed and turned in circles before lying down. This is where you sleep. It smells like cheap noodles and sadness. Jin sat down heavily on his only chair. How can you speak Korean? How can you speak at all? Taro yawned, showing rows of small, sharp teeth. I can learn any language by linking mentally with speakers. I've been listening to Earth broadcasts for decades. Korean dramas are my favorite. So much drama over such small problems. Jin stared at the dragon. What exactly are you? I'm a Raon. My kind lived on many worlds before the Drakari. Those green idiots who dropped me off decided to conquer everything. But why did their king give you to me? I never met him. Taro's scales shifted from blue to purple. King Vrex was a superstitious old fool. He thought I was bad luck because I wouldn't act like a proper pet. I talked back. I played tricks. I refused to be paraded around like some trophy. Jin frowned. So he gave you to a random human as punishment. Exactly. Taro stood up on the bed. He thought sending me to Earth was a great insult. The Drakari think humans are primitive and weak. No offense. Offense taken, Jin said dryly. Taro made a sound like laughter. I like you already. You've got spirit, even if you're living in the sad box. Jin's phone rang. It was Mr. Han, probably wondering why Jin hadn't shown up to help with the furniture. Jin ignored it. This seemed more important. What happens now? Jin asked. Will they come back for you? No way. They're happy to be rid of me. But others might come when they learn where I am. Others? What others? Collectors, scientists, power-hungry beings who know what I really am. Taro jumped down from the bed and walked to Jin. The Drakari only know a tiny bit about what Raon can do. They kept us as pets because they feared us as equals. Jin looked at the strange creature standing in his tiny apartment. And what can you do? Taro's eyes glowed. Want to see something cool? Before Jin could answer, Taro's body began to change. He shrank smaller and smaller until he was the size of a lizard. Then, in a flash, he grew again. This time larger than before, barely fitting in the room. Size control, Taro said, returning to his dog-sized form. Just one of my talents. I can also do this. The dragon breathed out a soft mist of blue light. When it touched Jin's phone, the device turned on by itself and began playing music. Technology control, Taro explained. And the best part, I can link with you mentally, if you let me. We can share thoughts, memories, even strength. Jin stared at the dragon. His life had been empty and painful since leaving the army. Now this strange creature was offering something new. Why me? Jin asked. Taro's eyes met his. Because, Jin Kang, you and I are both outcasts, and outcasts should stick together. 3 days passed. Jin did not leave his apartment. He ordered food delivery and watched as Taro ate more than seemed possible for his size. The dragon liked spicy chicken and sweet drinks best. Don't you have dragon food? Jin asked, watching Taro finish another box of chicken. I can eat anything, Taro said. One time I ate a rock just to freak out King Vrex. His face turned so green I thought he might explode. Jin smiled despite himself. Taro's stories about annoying the alien king were always funny. That evening, someone knocked on Jin's door. He froze. No one visited him except Mr. Han, and he was still mad that Jin had missed helping with the furniture. It's 2 men, Taro whispered, his scales turning a dark blue. They smell like expensive clothes and bad intentions. Jin looked through the peephole. 2 large men in black suits stood outside. Mr. Jin Kang, one called. We need to speak with you about the alien incident. Hide, Jin whispered to Taro. The dragon quickly shrank to the size of a small lizard and crawled under the bed. Jin opened the door slightly. Yes. We represent a private collector, the taller man said. We know you received something from the aliens. We want to buy it. I don't know what you're talking about, Jin said. The second man pushed the door open wider. Jin stumbled back. The men entered his apartment and closed the door behind them. We know the dragon is here, the first man said. Our client will pay very well. I think you should leave, Jin said, trying to sound brave. The second man laughed. We're not leaving without the dragon. He pulled out a strange device that looked like a small gun. This will stun it without causing damage. From under the bed, Jin heard a low growl. Before he could say anything, Taro shot out in a blur of movement. In seconds, he grew to the size of a large dog again. His eyes glowed bright red. Did you really think I would let you catch me? Taro said. His voice was different now, deeper, more powerful. The men backed up against the door. The one with the stun gun pointed it at Taro. Before he could fire, Taro breathed out a blue mist. The stun gun sparked and died in the man's hand. What the? The man dropped the useless device. Technology disruption, Taro said. Want to see what else I can do? The dragon grew larger, now the size of a small car. The apartment felt tiny with him in it. His tail knocked over Jin's chair. The men's faces showed pure fear. Leave now, Jin said. And tell your collector that the dragon isn't for sale. The men didn't need to be told twice. They fumbled with the door and ran out. Jin could hear them running down the hall. Taro shrank back to his normal size. That was fun. Did you see their faces? Jin sat down on his bed. They'll be back, or others will come. Probably, Taro agreed. The Drakari didn't know half of what I can do. If they did, they would have killed me instead of keeping me as a pet. Jin looked at the dragon with new eyes. What else can you do that you haven't shown me? Taro jumped onto the bed next to Jin. I can create a mental link with my chosen companion. It lets us share thoughts, feelings, even strength. Is that safe? For most species, no. Their minds break under the connection. Taro's eyes met Jin's, but humans are different. Your brains are flexible, adaptable. The Drakari fear this about your kind. Jin thought about his empty life before Taro arrived. The pain in his leg, the loneliness. What would happen if we linked? He asked. Your leg might heal faster. You'd be stronger. We would understand each other completely. Taro's voice got softer. But it's dangerous. Once linked, we can't unlink. We would be connected forever. Jin stood up and looked out his window at the night sky. Will more people come after you? Yes, the Drakari will realize their mistake. Others will want me for my powers. Jin turned back to face Taro. Then we need to be ready for them. Taro's scales shifted to a bright gold color. Does that mean you want to link? Jin nodded slowly. Show me how. The battle ended with 4 Drakari hunters captured and 2 escaped back to their ship. Jin sat on the ground, tired but unhurt. Taro lay beside him, back to his dog-sized form. The dragon's scales were dull gray from using so much energy. You fought well, Sue said, sitting next to them. She had a small cut on her cheek, but looked proud. I've never seen anyone move like you did, Jin. It was Taro's power, Jin said. I just borrowed it. No, Taro said weakly. It was our power together. That's what scares them. Director Day approached with a serious face. The 2 escaped hunters have called for backup. Our satellite shows a large Drakari ship entering Earth orbit. Jin felt fear rise in his chest. How large? A battle cruiser, Daz said. Much bigger than the first ship that brought Taro to you. They could destroy this entire area if they wanted. They won't, Taro said, lifting his head. They want me alive, but they might threaten your cities to make you hand me over. Day nodded. That's what we're afraid of. The president has called an emergency meeting with other world leaders. They're discussing what to do. Jin looked at the captured hunters. They sat silently, their armor damaged and helmets removed. Without their helmets, Jin could see their greenish-gray skin and large dark eyes. They looked angry, but also afraid. We need to talk to them, Jin said. Find out what they really want. Sue helped Jin to his feet. Be careful. Drakari are proud. They won't admit they're afraid of you. Jin walked over to the captured hunters with Taro following. The aliens glared at them. Jin spoke to the one who seemed to be the leader. Why did you come for Taro? The truth. The Drakari didn't answer at first. Then he looked at Taro and said, The Raong is a royal treasure. It belongs to the Empire. Taro made a noise like laughter. You're a bad liar, Commander Zell. Tell them the real reason. The Drakari named Zell looked surprised that Taro knew his name. He glared at the dragon. King Vrex made a mistake. The new king wants to fix that mistake. By killing me and Jin? Taro asked. If necessary. Jin felt anger rise in him again. Taro chose to stay with me. We've done nothing to threaten your people. You exist, Zell said coldly. That is threat enough. Before Jin could reply, Director Day called him over to a communication screen. On it was an older man in a suit. Jin Kang, I'm President Park. I've heard about your situation. The president looked tired but determined. The Drakari ambassador is demanding we turn over you and the dragon. They claim the dragon is their property and was wrongfully given to you. That's not true, Jin said. Taro was officially given to me by their king. Taro jumped up to see the screen. King Vrex followed all proper protocols. I was legally transferred to Jin's care. The Drakari are just afraid of what we can do together. The president looked surprised at hearing Taro speak. I see. Well, the Drakari have threatened to retrieve their property by force if necessary. We need to end this peacefully. Jin thought for a moment. Then an idea came to him through the bond with Taro. Mr. President, what if we show the galaxy what the Drakari really fear? Jin asked. What if we broadcast the truth about Taro's people and the bond between humans and Raun? Taro's scales brightened. Yes, the Drakari have hidden the truth about my kind for centuries. Other species in the galaxy don't know what happened to us. The president looked interested. What do you propose? A meeting, Jin said, with the Drakari ambassador. But not in secret. We'd do it publicly, with cameras broadcasting to the world. And beyond, Taro added, I can help your scientists modify the signal to reach other worlds. The Drakari won't dare attack during a broadcast the whole galaxy might see. The president nodded slowly. That could work. A diplomatic approach instead of a military one. He looked at Jin with new respect. For a former soldier, you think like a politician. Jin smiled. I just want to live in peace with Taro, and I want Earth to be safe. Give us 6 hours to arrange this meeting, the president said. We'll hold it at the United Nations. When the call ended, Sue put her hand on Jin's shoulder. That was smart. But are you ready to face the Drakari in front of the whole world? The whole galaxy? Jin looked at Taro. Through their bond, he felt the dragon's confidence and support. We're ready, Jin said. It's time everyone knew the truth. For the next day, Jin and Taro stayed at the secret government base. They trained with Sue, showing her what they could do together. Jin was surprised at how strong he had become. He could run faster and lift heavier things than ever before. It's the bond, Taro explained during a break. My energy flows into you. The longer we stay connected, the stronger you'll get. Sue watched them with interest. She had been quiet at first, but now she asked many questions about Taro's world and people. The dragon seemed to enjoy her attention. The Raun lived on 12 planets before the Drakari came, Taro told her. We helped other species grow and learn. We were teachers, not rulers, though some call us gods. And the Drakari killed your people because they were afraid? Sue asked. Yes, they couldn't control us, couldn't understand us. Taro looked at Jin. But humans are different. Your minds work more like ours. Jin felt something through their bond, a warm feeling when Taro looked at Sue. With surprise, he realized the dragon liked her. Asterisk, she's smart, asterisk Taro sent through their mental link. Asterisk and, she doesn't treat me like a pet or a weapon, asterisk. That night, alarms went off throughout the base. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Jin and Taro rushed out of their room to find Sue running toward them. They're here, she said. The hunters found us faster than we expected. How many? Jin asked. 6, just like Taro predicted. They landed in the forest and are moving this way. Director Day appeared from the command center. We're evacuating most staff. Captain Sue, take Jin and Taro out through the back tunnels. No, Jin said firmly. We won't run. Taro nodded. Running won't help. They can track my energy signature. We need to face them. Day looked unhappy but didn't argue. What do you need from us? Weapons for your people, Taro said. But know that Drakari armor is very strong. Jin felt a strange calm. Through the bond, he could sense Taro's confidence flowing into him. We can do this. Together. 20 minutes later, they stood outside the base. The night was dark, but Jin could see clearly. Another gift from the bond with Taro. 5 soldiers from the base stood with them, including Sue. They all had guns. There, Taro said, looking toward the trees. They're coming. 6 tall figures emerged from the forest. They wore armor that gleamed in the moonlight. Their helmets had no face openings, just smooth metal with glowing red lines. That's Drakari battle armor, Taro told the group. It makes them stronger and faster. The lead hunter stepped forward. Return the round to us, a metallic voice demanded. The creature belongs to the Empire. Jin stepped forward. Taro belongs to no one. He chooses to stay with me. The hunter made a sound like laughter. Humans, So arrogant for such a weak species. Jin felt anger rise in him. We're not weak. Show them, Taro said beside him. Jin reached down and placed his hand on Taro's head. Immediately, energy surged between them. The bond they had formed grew stronger. Jin felt power flow through his body. Around them, a soft blue light began to glow. The Drakari hunters stepped back. What is this? The leader demanded. Jin smiled. This is why you fear us. The hunters raised their weapons, long staffs that glowed with energy. But before they could attack, Taro breathed out a cloud of blue mist. It spread quickly, surrounding the hunters. Their weapons sparked and went dark. Technology disruption, Taro said. Now Jin. Jin ran forward with incredible speed. He moved faster than he ever had, even before his war injury. The first hunter swung at him, but Jin easily dodged. He struck back, his fist hitting the armor hard. To his surprise, the armor cracked. The other hunters attacked. Sue and her soldiers fired their guns, but the bullets bounced off the Drakari armor. Still, it distracted them. Through the bond, Jin could sense what Taro was doing. The dragon had grown larger, now the size of a horse. He leaped at two hunters, knocking them down with his weight. Jin, Sue called, throwing him a metal rod she had been carrying. Jin caught it and felt Taro's energy flow into the rod. It began to glow blue. When he swung it at the nearest hunter, it cut through the alien armor like it was paper. Working together, Jin, Taro, and the soldiers fought the hunters. The battle was hard, but with Jin and Taro's combined strength, they began to win. Are you sure about this? Taro asked. His scales flickered between gold and blue, showing his worry. Jin sat cross-legged on the floor of his apartment. It was early morning and pale light came through the window. Yes, if people are coming after us, we need to be ready. Taro nodded and sat facing Jin. Put your hands on my head. I'll do the rest. Jin placed his hands on either side of Taro's head. The dragon's scales felt warm and smooth like sun-heated stones. Taro closed his eyes and began to hum softly. The sound vibrated through Jin's hands and into his arms. Clear your mind, Taro said. Don't fight what comes next. At first, Jin felt nothing. Then a warm feeling spread from his hands up his arms and into his chest. It was like drinking hot tea on a cold day. The warmth reached his head, and suddenly, he was flying over a beautiful world with 3 moons. Below, creatures like Taro, but much larger, soared through pink clouds. They called to each other in musical tones that somehow made perfect sense to him. The scene changed. Now he saw tall green aliens in shining armor. The Drakari. They had weapons that shot beams of light. The dragons fell from the sky one by one. There was fire and screaming another change. He was small now, hiding in a cave. Hungry. Afraid. A young Drakari prince found him. Father, look what I found. Can I keep it? Years passed in a flash. He was Taro, growing up as a royal pet, learning to make himself small, pretending to be less intelligent, watching, waiting, quietly learning about the universe from overheard conversations and stolen moments with the royal computers. Then the discovery of Earth. Broadcasts captured by Drakari ships, human languages, cultures, stories. The dying King Vrex, suspicious of his unusual pet, send it to the primitives. It will be a fitting end for both. Jin gasped as the connection broke. He fell backward onto the floor. His head pounded with the rush of memories. Taro's memories. Now you know, Taro said quietly. The truth about me, about the realm. Jin sat up slowly. Your people, they're gone. Not all gone. Hidden. Scattered across the galaxy. Taro moved closer to Jin. The mental link is working. Can you feel it? Jin could. It was like a warm thread connecting his mind to Taro's. He could sense the dragon's feelings, worry, hope, and something like affection. The Drakari killed your people because they feared them, Jin said, because the realm could bond with other species. Yes, we were once worshipped as gods on many worlds because of our powers. The Drakari couldn't stand that. Taro's eyes glowed softly. But they never found a species they truly feared until they discovered humans. Humans? Why fear us? Your minds. They're different. More. Flexible. The Drakari tried to bond with my ancestors and their brains broke. But humans. Taro touched Jin's hand with his nose. You adapt. You change. You grow stronger from connections instead of being destroyed by them. Jin felt something strange in his leg. The injured one. The constant pain was fading. He rolled up his pants to look. The old scar was still there, but the swelling around it was going down. The link is healing you, Taro said. It's just the beginning. Jin stood up. For the first time in years, he could put weight on his leg without wincing. This is amazing. King Vrex suspected what I was. He knew the legends of the realm. That's why he sent me away. To a planet of primitives, as a final insult. Taro made a sound like laughter. But he didn't know I was influencing his choice. I chose you, Jin. Me. Why? I needed someone strong enough to bond with, but kind enough to trust. When I saw you through the Drakari databases, a wounded soldier still trying to help others despite your pain, I knew you were the right one. Jin looked down at the small dragon who had changed his life in just a few days. What happens now? Now, Taro said, his eyes glowing brighter, we prepare, because the Drakari will realize their mistake very soon.